the safe use of changing up and setting up a circular saw blade. Okay? Now the very first thing we're going to do is you're going to make sure that it's off. Alright? So you're going to lock it off, make sure not just switches there, but the main switch there. It's very important. Okay? If you think you're going to go away for some reason and leave it, then lock it off. Put a padlock on it and lock it. Okay? Keep the key. So nobody else can do it. So the first thing we're going to do is we need to get out the saw blade itself, which is obviously underneath the table. Just quickly, just go over some of the parts of the machine. Obviously the table here, you've got the fence. We're going to move the fence away, so we've got room to work. We've got the crown guard on the top. So again, I'm going to lift that up. So it's up as far as it can go and out of the way. Okay? You can also then lift that up a little bit to give us a bit more room. If it's a bigger blade and you still can't get out it, then take the crown guard off out of the way. Okay? So the first thing we're going to do, I've hopefully got all my tools ready here. I've got a new saw blade ready to put on. So the first thing is to take off this metal bit here, which is called the finger plate. Okay? And if you notice, it's a different colour, lighter colour. It's a softer alloy. And it's there so if the saw blade hits it, it doesn't damage the saw blade. That's what it's there for. Other machines might have bits of wood around it, plastic, anything else, but it's separate from the rest of the bed. Okay? So we're going to unscrew them. Some just lift off. Others are screwed down. It all depends how they are. But this particular one is screwed down. You may have noticed I've cleared the beds and things, so it's all clear for me to put my parts and things ready when I take them off. So off comes the finger plate to one side. You've got your screws there with it as well. Okay, so now that I've done that, I can see in there now the nut, the locking nut for the blade. At the back of it here, we've got a riving knife. So the first thing I'm going to do, I need to move that riving knife back out of the way. Okay, so I'll come around that side. So just undo that. It's just one nut there, and then slacken it off, and that comes back out of the way, just slides out of the way. Okay? So now I've got plenty of room there to get at the blade and to get it off. Now depending on how long the blade has gone on, it could have tightened up and it might be a bit of a job to get it off. Sometimes you might need to get a scrap bit of wood, and what we use is to put it down there and to jam it against the blade. Never hold the blade, don't put nails or nuts or bolts in that way to hold it, okay? Otherwise it's going to damage it. Nice bit of wood would do it, okay? But hopefully, it's an opposite thread, remember, it's a left-hand thread, okay? So hopefully, I'll put the spanner on and just a bit of tension on the blade and just tap it off. Okay, so that now is slackened off and I'm unscrewing it off. Not a lot of room there, so just hang on the finger underneath your hand underneath just to catch the nut. So the nut is off. Then we've got a flange that goes over it, like a big washer if you want to, that goes over the spindle and the blade. And you can see there's a hole in that, okay? And you'll see now there'll be a corresponding pin in the spindle, okay? So that's off. If you're using very big heavy blades, then you should have gloves and things, especially with a big one, okay? This one isn't too bad, it's about 400 mil wide. It's not too heavy, so I'm just going to gently ease that off the spindle, and when it comes to the end, take it off, and then let's put it out of the way. Okay, so with that one, we'll save for the exercises in each changing. It's blunt, so it'll be sent away to be sharpened. So I've got here a new blade. which I'm going to replace on. Okay. As you probably should know by now, tungsten tips, so all the tips are just soldered or brazed on, so if they do chip, big chunks of them, they can be re-tipped. Okay, unlike the old blades we used to have years ago, where you had to actually file them down or grind them down, okay? But these are tipped, so there's no setting of the blade. The width of the cut is the width of the tooth itself. Okay, so that gives you your clearance, your curve. Okay, so now you need to remember, sorry, before I do that, when you're at it, it's all off, let's clean a little bit in there. So, with the hoover going for a minute, I'll just hoover up the inside there. In there. While you're there, have a quick look, check everything's alright. Nothing's loose, you know, no nuts or bolts or something loose, but it all looks alright. The spindle is fine there. So I'm ready to put my blade back on. Now, when you took the old one off, hopefully you'd have noted which way the blade goes. And okay, so always just check that. Obviously the blade's going to come towards you, isn't it? So teeth coming towards you. So that's the way you're going to put it back on. Okay, so you're looking at the blade, the teeth are going to come this way towards you. So obviously in the reverse way now, drop it down. Onto the spindle. There's a hole, as I said, then for a locating pin. Somewhere. That one slips right back now, it's gone over the locating pin. So the next thing is to put the flange back on, making sure again that hole there goes over the locating pin again. So that's come back on. See, it's all sitting nice and flat. The nut, remembering it's, as I said, it's an opposite thread, left-hand thread, so you're going the other way, the opposite way. Spin that on, and it doesn't need a lot of tightening because it's the opposite way. As the machine turns and starts up, it tightens the nut every time. So all you need to do, a couple of sharp taps like that, and that tightens it up. Okay, so you're just double checking everything's tight, it's flat. Okay, so all that's done. So the next thing is to bring that riving knife up. Okay? Now the magic number with sort of any machines is 8 mil. Okay? Remember the 8 mil. So what we're doing is bringing the riving knife up. It must follow the curve of the saw. So if it's a different size saw, you slightly adjust it. But again, it must be within 8 millimeters. Okay? 8 millimeters. So I'm going to come back over here. I'm now going to bring that back up. Roughly 8 millimeters. There's no need to measure it. You all know, sort of, it doesn't have to be precise, you know, 7, 8 is fine, okay? Make sure you give that a good tighten up. Is following the curve of the blade, okay, within 8 millimeters. So we're right with that. The next thing now, then, obviously, is to replace the finger blade, finger plate. So that goes back onto there, drops in. That's all back into place. We just drop the pound guard back. And now, the next thing to do is obviously just double check it's not catching anything. And what I'm going to do next is just do stop, stop, sorry, or stop, start. Just to make sure everything's running freely. So it's back on, everything's clear. So I'm just going to start it